All right, welcome to today's Tech Breakdown. We're diving straight into a massive resource investigation. Look, right now, most people assume they're totally safe as long as their tap turns on. But here's the stark, uncomfortable reality. Our 160-year-old water grid, it is fundamentally snapping. It's failing. So today, we're not just complaining about it. I'm bringing you a strict tech breakdown to show you exactly how a simple $50 budget build is positioned to completely replace a billion-dollar municipal utility. We're calling out the problem right out of the gate, and more importantly, we're looking at a permanent $50 solution.
Just look at the contrast here. It's absolutely stark. On one side, you've got this century-old, crumbling infrastructure that's literally charging you a premium for contaminated water. And on the other, the solution. It's a $50 Lego-style box that actually pulls up to 40 gallons of pure, clean water daily, right out of thin air. No joke. Now, before we peel back the layers on exactly how this mechanism works, if you want to actually own your supply instead of just renting a failing one, do me a favor. Like this video and subscribe for more independence hacks.
So let's start with part one, the water grid crisis and uncovering our point A dependency. In any real investigative analysis, establishing exactly where we're starting from is absolutely crucial. And right now, point A is a state of total 100% dependency on an infrastructure that was literally never built for the 21st century. When you peel back the reality of these pipes, you'll see they are corroding, they're snapping under pressure, and they are quietly bleeding all these hidden debts right into your monthly utility bills.
And hey, the data absolutely backs up this growing public unease. Right now, 78.8% of consumers are demanding radical transparency from the systems they rely on every single day. And when you apply that kind of investigative lens to these municipal water monopolies, it reveals a pretty radical truth. You aren't just paying for the water anymore. You're actively funding the hidden debts, the massive inefficiencies, and the contamination leaks of a monopoly that honestly has zero incentive to innovate.
But here is the ultimate terrifying danger of staying at point A. It's a simple fact. You are exactly 3 days away from a survival crisis if that grid goes down. Think about that for a second. When you rely completely on a centralized, snapping utility, you are incredibly vulnerable. A major disruption puts your entire household in immediate jeopardy within 72 hours. Guys, this equation just has to change. Which brings us to part two. The budget build tech. Let's look inside the smart water box. Now, in the tech review world, we absolutely love budget builds, right? You know, those custom rigs that completely outperform expensive pre-built systems? Well, this is basically the ultimate backyard budget build. It's specifically designed to completely bypass the need for those million-dollar city pipes, or frankly, having to pay for deep, crazy expensive well drilling.
So how does it actually work? Well, the air around you right now is an infinite reservoir of moisture. It's literally floating all around us. The mechanics here operate in 3 incredibly efficient steps. Step 1, the device pulls in atmospheric air. Step 2, it utilizes a highly efficient condensation mechanism to extract the moisture from that air. And step 3, it produces pure, safe H2O. And get this, according to the source blueprints, this atmospheric condensation tech is designed to work even in super dry environments that have just 10% desert humidity. That's a real game changer.
This technology fundamentally shifts the entire power dynamic. Like the quote says, it turns you from a tenant of the grid into a producer. Think about what that means. You are no longer just paying rent for a basic fundamental human necessity. You're actually generating it yourself. You own the hardware and you own the source. By the way, if you're finding this tech breakdown as eye-opening as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button really quick so you don't miss our next independence hack.
All right, let's move on to part 3. Analyzing the lab evidence and testing this $50 mechanism. Because look, it's one thing to just claim you can build a moisture condensing box out of $50 worth of simple hardware store components. It's an entirely different thing to see how the water it actually produces stands up to rigorous professional laboratory testing. We need facts.
And that brings us to a major evidence moment for this investigation. When the water generated from this exact $50 build was sent off for certified lab testing, the results detailed in the source documentation were absolutely definitive. Lead, 0. Fluoride, 0. Industrial runoff, 0. In the spirit of radical transparency here, these tests visually validate that the DIY build produces naturally distilled H2O that actually outperforms premium bottled water brands. And let's be honest with ourselves, most of those premium brands are often just marked up filtered tap water anyway.
Now for part 4. Point B, total freedom, the independence transformation. Those lab results we just looked at, they map out our transformation logic perfectly.
We already established the scary dependency of point A, but now we arrive at point B, total freedom. This investigation isn't just about saving $50 on a weekend project. It's about permanently decoupling from a super fragile system. It's about completely avoiding municipal price hikes and eliminating the threat of a snapping infrastructure altogether.
And the benefits extend way beyond just personal security. Today, over 43% of consumers are actively demanding eco-conscious solutions. People want to do the right thing. This transformation we're talking about is a massively sustainable pivot from these giant, wasteful, centralized grids to completely clean, hyper-local generation right in your own backyard. Practically speaking, the sustainability features of this build are really significant. For starters, it creates zero plastic waste, completely bypassing the bottled water industry. It also requires zero grid energy, which means it easily adapts to totally off-grid environments. And economically, the source materials indicate it literally pays for itself in just a matter of months through all your saved utility and grocery costs. It's the ultimate win-win. You are securing your family's most essential resource completely outside of the failing system.
Finally, Part 5, securing the blueprint and taking action. Because replicating this investigative success really doesn't require an engineering degree. The beauty of this entire budget build is that the instructions are streamlined, they're heavily tested, and they are ready to deploy using basic parts you can go out and source locally this afternoon.
Currently, the official Smart Water Box Guide is actually bundled with some pretty incredible additional resource blueprints. This includes an off-grid power guide, which details exactly how to sever your ties with the electrical grid, as well as the survival seed bank secret. These materials are provided alongside the core blueprint to really round out that total independence transformation. But you definitely want to act fast before this bundle gets deactivated.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Will you stop paying rent for water? Seriously? Are you tired of being a tenant to a system that is just failing in slow motion? Taking back your independence starts with having the right blueprint. Stop paying a premium for a failing resource and start owning your own future today. Check the link in the description below to view the full $50 blueprint and take your absolute first step toward total independence. Thanks for watching.